Call the meeting to order, January 7th, 2026 at 6:04 p.m. Sorry for the late start, all you watchers, loyal watchers and listeners. My name is Stephanie Slysz. I am the chair of the planning board. To my immediate right, I have Jimmy Tarr. He's our alternate chair. Far end, I have Doug Finn. To my left, John Jeffress. All the way at the end of this table, Lee Bell. And then we have Bella Yeager, our town planner, also here. Virtually, we have Andrew Levine, our town administrator. First item on the agenda, as always, is public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone in the public to bring anything to our attention that is not part of tonight's agenda. Considering that there's nobody here and nobody online here from the public that isn't a part of the agenda, we will close public forum and move on to we don't have the next thing on our agenda is approval of the minutes, but we have no meeting minutes to approve. So moving on to the next agenda item. I think we want to mix it up a little bit given Andrew's participation, but Andrew, are you here?
I'm here.
Great. So we will, since you're here, we'll just get the stormwater water stuff out of the way. So Bella, Andrew, take it away.
Take it away, Andrew.
So we'll just see this. I think Bella will do a better job. She's actually spent a lot of time on this, kind of reconciling what we have in our zoning with a model bylaw program. If you hear background noise, my 2-year-old is here with me. So
Hi, Francis.
You might want to say hi and weigh in on zoning regulations. So that's the background on this. Is as we talked about, there is a consent order right now from the EPA because we are still not quite in compliance with the regulations that they have on stormwater and post-construction, construction and post-construction stormwater regulations. Sorry, is it impossible to hear me?
No, you're good.
Great.
You're fine.
All right, great, good. And we have adopted a bylaw last town meeting that then sets basically a shell. The bylaw allows us to create regulations for this stormwater program that we've now put together. And the regulations do need to pass planning board and be approved after having a public hearing. And we were pretty close already with the bylaws that we had existing in our zoning. So we're trying not to too badly recreate the wheel here. Unfortunately, kind of have done that because instead of modifying our zoning bylaw, we've adopted this at the general bylaw level, which I do still think is worth it. But as we do our work on the general bylaws and zoning bylaws next year in our review process, we may end up making changes to this. All of that said, for now, we have until early February to adopt these regulations, rules and regulations under the new general bylaw that was passed to be in compliance with the EPA under the MS4 program. So what Bella and I have tried to do is basically take what we have existing, add the few areas that we are not currently in compliance, and then we'll have regulations that basically match what we're trying to do already with that one or two areas that we needed to add. So I think Bella can kind of take you through what the standards are that we needed to adopt under EPA, and then kind of show you how it will work. It doesn't change much for the planning board, which is really nice because the way it's set up is that this stormwater permit is basically already something that you're doing when you're reviewing something for a special permit or a site plan review. We don't need to create a new permit, which is really nice. The special permit basically already acts for that. And if the Concom is involved, an order of conditions substitutes for this stormwater permit too. So this really is only needed in narrow areas where you're not already needing a special permit or some other kind of review from planning board, or if you don't need an order of conditions from Conservation Commission. So Bella can talk you through the rest, but we think that we've had this review by our engineering firm. They're confident that it meets EPA's guidelines. We will review after your meeting tonight, send this back to council again. They've been involved in this process, but town council will review one more time. Any concerns that you have tonight, But this will be ready to be reviewed by you, and then it can go to a public hearing sometime this month, so that we can have this approved in time for that deadline that the EPA had given us. If we don't feel like we're ready, we can also reach out to EPA and see, since we're pretty close here, they might not be stringent about it because they just want us to make sure we have a good program. So if you need more time, we can make that happen, I think. But I do think that we're pretty close here based on the existing regulations, following the model bylaw that was out there, and adding what we needed from that model bylaw. So I'll pause there.
Thank you, Andrew. That was a great intro. So in terms of what the EPA needed us to do, it was all about pollutant load. It wasn't, we had like pretty robust standards for the amount of runoff. Honestly, we weren't too bad. It was just about total suspended solids. And so we adopted I'm sorry, these pages aren't numbered, but it's under stormwater management standards. That's where we were lacking. And so 7.2, exactly. Thank you.
Where are you?
7.2. It's like 2/3 of the way through almost halfway through the whole thing.
Oh, I got 6.0. I got you. Okay.
So you can see in the comments up to the side that the first EPA requirement was about, pollutant removal equivalent to 90% of the average annual load of TSS. The second one is, and that's for post-construction. And then we needed basically for post-construction for redevelopment. So we adopted those standards into these rules and regs. And then the rest of it was basically, since we can't currently, outside of an annual town meeting, change the zoning bylaw or change the general bylaw, we had to make sure that nothing in here conflicted with what we have in general or zoning, if that makes sense. Because this is the thing that we can change at a public hearing anytime. So in the long run, as Andrew said, we might be updating or like streamlining this a little bit so that it's not like this one big document and then like what's in our zoning and then what's in the general. But because we can't currently tweak zoning or general, this is where we wanted all of it at the moment. Okay, so it was a matter of making sure there were no conflicts between these rules and regs and the numbers and specifics that we have in the zoning. Okay, so then that's partly why we decided to make this sort of a bulkier document, was that you, as the board, when you are asked to review one of these, aren't bouncing between these and then like referring back to the zoning and looking like 5 different places. We pulled a lot more of the specifics into these rules and regs so that you can kind of see this as like one guidebook, since this is new to all of us on planning, reviewing at this scale. Again, Concom will still have jurisdiction over anything where there's a wetland, and you're looking at things that are per our zoning, 1 acre or more of disturbance, and that's like total disturbance of the parcel, or 10,000 square feet, which isn't actually that big. It's like 100 by 100. Was triggered by the overflow parking lot for pickleball. So that's an example of like these rules and regs would help you to review something like that. And it does provide too for you to hire a consultant if you're having trouble like parsing the site plan, things like that. And then it also,
Like if it was something a little more complicated than
a gravel.
overflow lot.
Right. It allows, because like Concom has the ability to hire a consultant. That's in the general bylaw for wetlands, where you can like get outside review. And this creates like a fee structure for that, which is helpful in case you have something complex. But it also creates, basically everything goes through our site plan review process as we have it written, unless for things that don't trigger site plan review or special permit or the other one, special permit with site plan approval, if something is still big enough to trigger what the EPA wants you to review, this provides for that as well. So if it doesn't trigger Concom, because there's no wetlands, and it doesn't fall under one of the categories that we review through planning permits, but it is an acre or more or 10,000 square feet, this makes it possible to review things like that, so that we're not out of compliance with EPA. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Can you give an example of a project?
Yeah, I was curious, like, for example, and
Sure.
is farming exempt from that? Like, I'm
Yes.
thinking the giant project that Norse Farms just
That's
did.
literally the exact one that I thought of too.
Yes.
They're exempt from that. Okay.
You're asking? Because of right to farm?
Agricultural uses, yep, according to the general bylaw that was passed, agricultural uses are exempt, as in, is any just general make.
I agree with that in theory, but considering what Norse did.
So,
Is
so
another question,
Norse
but anyway.
Farms can put in 3 acres of new structures,
Cement,
cement, glass, steel, pavement, big tanks, lots of runoff, and be exempt from any review under this. But if Fishtails wants to expand their parking lot by 100 by 100, it has to go through this kind of review.
Andrew, is that, you're saying that's what's in the general
But the
bylaw
Fishtails
is an ag
just as an
exemption that would,
The general bylaw is an acre. The current regulations is the 10,000 square feet.
So it's a quarter acre.
so yeah, just to say that, Doug, that is a fair and accurate statement, that yes.
right. We do have a funny thing with ag exemptions here, but if it were not ag,
Mhm.
if it were a project that were that large and it didn't somehow trigger any of our other review processes, we would at least have an approach.
And I don't say that to
for
be
reviewing it.
anti-farming, but
No, of course not.
you know, that's a very industrial type of
Totally.
agriculture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that all make sense in terms of what
Mhm.
this is for, when it would come up?
Just to name it, because this is seems very high stakes, and I would be much more inclined to be like, consultant, please, more often than not, I would imagine.
Oh, for the reviews.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it would depend on the project, but yeah.
If-
For a
yeah.
complicated project.
If
it's
The
more
site plan
than-
is so, there's calculations to be
Yeah.
obvious.
Yes.
If it's more than a gravel parking lot situation.
Totally. And that's partly why a lot of the definition section is fairly technical, and we left a lot of that in just so that when you're looking at things, at least you'll have something to consult. If they're talking about something that's kind of conservation adjacent or whatever, you won't have to be totally in the weeds about what those things mean.
I have just another question that I'm curious about. Like you said, our current bylaw was pretty good otherwise. Were we stricter in any regard than what the EPA is asking for in any other ways, or is what the EPA is asking us to be more strict on? I'm just
I
curious.
think our square footage was stricter, and then our runoff, I think, was stricter.
Okay.
It wasn't bad, honestly. It was literally just the pollutant load that we hadn't mentioned. But
Okay.
I think we were pretty solid otherwise.
Speaking of solids,
Nice. Andrew, do you want to tie a bow on this? What are your thoughts?
Francis?
Sorry, was there a question?
Do you want to put a bow on this? What are your thoughts for any other
Just
considerations?
that I want any feedback that we have from the board tonight, or anything that we need to run by council. So I think that the question raised earlier about applicability is really important. So we have time to try to make sure we get this right. So if you have questions about this for council and everyone else, let's make sure we ask.
You mean Doug's question, Doug's comments? Or
About the applicability.
Mm-hmm.
About where?
about the Norse Farms question? Is
As an example?
that what you're talking about?
Under applicability, the comment that I made was, if the stormwater regulations were bylaw,
Mm-hmm.
the planning board inherently has the right to waive minor provisions in the bylaw if it's deemed in the best interest of the town. We don't have the right to waive any minor provisions of the general bylaw. So if the general bylaw says 100 by 100, and somebody comes to us with a parking lot that's, 100 by 105, that meets the criteria. They have to go through the whole process. Whereas if we were looking at it, we're saying you're talking about a gravel lot. It's in an area where the soils aren't hydraulically active. It's non-hydraulic soils, it's non-hydraulic plant life. Stormwater will, you've prepared an area around it where it's going to accept stormwater runoff from the parking area. It's not going to be paved. We don't see the need to go through a more drastic study.
Mhm.
So we would waive that, and we could just simply say, you don't have to go through this process and save you the trouble. But as a general bylaw, we don't have the right to do it. We would have to put them through that work. That's the only thing I was, trying to drive at when I was talking about applicability.
Mhm.
we then say, hey, you should reduce your parking lot by X amount? and
Well, that's
then-
the thing, is reduce it by 5 feet if you could, yeah, but, and the smart and savvy person would.
So even if you're designated as the permit granting authority, you're saying you still wouldn't have any ability to waive any of these restrictions?
The restrictions in the rules and regulations, I think we could waive minor, provide minor waivers for some of the requirements in here, sure. But the overall requirement, and what triggers a project as being required to be reviewed under this, because it's a general bylaw, I don't see that we do have the right to waive those. Could the select board? Possibly, I don't know, but I'm not even sure about that.
Yeah, my thought was, since you're designated as the permit granting authority, then it essentially then goes into the planning board's jurisdiction, and you'd have the ability to waive as described in the sample bylaw that the EPA gave us. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but I think it's a fair question by council.
I do think it's an incredibly niche kind of area of discussion, and I'm not, it's not a mountain I'm going to die on one way or the other, and it's fine. I'm just raising it for, just general intent. The only other comments I think I had for the rest of it is just some of the organizational things. Putting the parts about the planning board's decision towards the end of the document. Just logically, it made more sense. That's all.
Was it
6.5
yeah.
actions and plan changes, the one after it. It felt like those belong more towards the end of the.
Is this something that would be a part of the code, whatever, 360, whatever?
Code 360?
Yeah, is that going to be a part of this
Well,
process?
this is, let's
Yeah, it
see.
should be.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they would be reviewing any documents of ours that are like directly interlocking with our zoning, right? Because it's like they want to make sure those are all working together properly. So even this is outside the zoning code, I feel like they should have to review this.
Or at least link it appropriately, I guess.
Yeah, make sure that it's not in conflict. Is that right, Andrew?
Didn't catch you on that one.
Yes, I was saying that is my understanding. Yes.
Okay.
We do a public hearing on this. We vote to adopt. Does this get recorded at the registry like rules and regs for subdivision might, or do we just vote to adopt and we're good?
Andrew, do you know if it's recorded at the registry? It seems like it would be similar to.
The regulations would be?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about recording the regulations of the registry. No.
It may not be required. I mean, rules and regulations for subdivisions are. This may not. be.
Maybe it's not.
So.
We'll find out.
Okay,
Okay.
no worry.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that would require that. You're saying that the regulations themselves, or the permit being approved?
Well, the permit being approved definitely would be recorded. It's a
good.
special
Good.
permit. It's still a
For
special
sure.
permit.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm
sure.
just, rules and regulations for subdivisions are required to be recorded at the registry of deeds for them to be, enforceable.
Mhm.
This-
Yeah, I didn't see anything like that.
Yeah, this probably isn't.
Therefore not enforceable? Just kidding.
Right.
Just kidding.
The only other question, thought I had is fee structure, 6.3.
Mhm.
Item number 2 essentially is either a summary of or
Oh, right.
a word-for-word copy of MGL 4453G, which gives land review boards the right to seek consultant fees from the applicant for review. I just simply felt it wasn't necessary to restate all of the provisions of that chapter. We could simply just point to that.
Okay.
The planning board reserves the right to seek consultants' fees under MGL Chapter 4453G.
Okay.
I'd love to hear attorneys'
Yeah.
advice on that, and I'd rather just point to that section, because 53G includes, the fact that you have to take it, it has to go into a separate account. The
Right.
money that's there
Yep.
has to earn interest. When you pay it back, the interest earned has to go back to the applicant down the line.
Totally.
So,
And
yeah.
the rationale for having certain other bodies of text maybe repeated from zoning or elsewhere in this document, where that you might need to reference them during a meeting, but you're not going to need to reference this during a meeting. It's not like important for you to have this in
Sure.
clear.
Sure.
What do you think, Andrew?
Okay, sorry, can you say that one more time?
Just Doug's comment about taking the section that is basically copied and pasted from MGL about fees, and maybe just taking that out since it's verbatim from MGL.
Yeah, I mean, we can just say reference at the MGL. I'm fine with that.
Cool. And so if we're sending this to the attorney after this, and then we're bringing it to the February meeting, which will be the hearing for this, right?
Did we talk about having an additional meeting in January? If there's a way to do a public hearing for this and end of January, have it approved, then
Right.
so that
'cause
we complete this before February,
it's
that'd be
due in
great. But
February.
otherwise,
Right.
let EPA know we're
Right, we had talked about that. which we
22nd or
haven't
something
scheduled
like
it yet.
that, or 29th.
Yeah, we can schedule it at the end of
Yeah.
the meeting unless
The
we want to
the
decide
28th
that
would
right
be
now.
great because it would give us enough time to meet the posting requirements. But it's up to this.
2 weeks in a row. Oh, we have to post for this?
If it's a public
Right, it's a
hearing.
public
probably.
hearing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We have time?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
On the 28th of
Yeah.
January, if you do it on the 20th of January, yeah.
Yeah, we would do it on the
If
28th.
people, I guess we can talk about this now. Is there a quorum for 28th?
So we'd have 2 weeks in a row?
Does that make sense?
No, we don't need to have one on the 21st then, do we? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no,
No, it'll
I'm-
be the next meeting in February.
No, the next meeting in February would be
Oh.
February 4th.
Is there a requirement that as to why we're trying to get this in for the 1st of February?
EPA is requiring it.
EPA.
by- Yeah, that was the deadline. That's why the
So it seems like another meeting a couple of weeks from now would be the
EPA
right thing to do.
Yeah.
What did you say, Andrew?
I think for the week after the EPA gave us, or 2 weeks after, we can still make it work. I think it would be.
So saying you feel like it could be okay if we have it on the 4th, for example, our regularly scheduled hearing
No,
meeting?
the EPA has got a deadline for the 1st.
Yeah, but he said he thinks we can make it work if we needed to ask
Oh.
for an extra.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I misheard. All right.
But we should meet again in January anyway. Like
to
we
talk
talked
about town meeting things.
Right, because we need to have stuff ready for the February. That's the hearing for other stuff. That's why. Yeah.
Town meeting's in May, right?
Yeah, but we need to solidify like at least placeholder warrant articles
Mhm.
by when?
Is there a hard deadline for, like, what's the deal with the February deadline for warrant article stuff, Andrew? Why do we have that in our minds?
The warrant article deadline?
Yes.
I think it was mid-February. I can't remember the exact date.
Right.
But it doesn't need to be finalized language, it's just placeholders, like we're gonna do XYZ, like. We just,
That's right. It just needs to be that we will have something. That doesn't, the final deadline really pencils down. It's more like mid-April.
For hearings.
For the
Mhm.
actual language and all that.
Yep.
And we can have the hearing after the final deadline. Right? Or no, we kind of want to do that before the final deadline for all the language.
yes, for language, yes.
Okay, so we don't
It's,
have to have a second, I'm just, we don't have to have a second meeting in January for anything other than stormwater if that's not still what people want to do. We had
And,
talked about it for like BES and other things, but
and if we schedule the public hearing for our meeting in February, EPA will probably say that's okay if we're.
They'll be
give
like
us the
roll their
week.
eyes and be like, sure,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay.
okay. So the 4th then, is that okay with you, Andrew?
February 4th, I think it's fun.
Okay.
Sounds
Great.
good.
So we'll send it to the attorney shortly. If there's any other comments, let us know. We'll ask them all of the questions we went over today, and then we will advertise for the hearing on the 4th.
Sounds good.
Okay. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, everybody.
Andrew.
I mean, now we've talked about
Now we also
other
have
stuff.
someone named Marie
Ooh,
on the call.
not to put you on the spot, Marie, but if is there anything you'd like to talk to the planning board about, you can, yeah, hi.
No, not at all. I was curious as a citizen and figured I would lurk in the background. I
Okay.
apologize.
No, you're
Welcome.
no, don't apologize.
We welcome
Lurkers.
anyone interested in learning more about what we do. That's great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, talking a little bit about town meeting.
Mhm.
What are we thinking?
Okay, so last time we had talked about a few different possibilities for what we could do. Did he leave?
Yeah.
Okay. One that we talked about, the first one that I dug into and then it became all consuming was the best model bylaw. I
Mhm.
have a lot to tell you about it. What we talked about was adopting the model bylaw. That was what we were into.
And
last
best
meeting.
for the public now that
It is battery energy storage systems.
So
systems.
that basically is accompany solar arrays.
Oh, yes, exactly. And the PVPC zoning diagnostic that we had recommended that we at least think about this and come up with some kind of regulatory language in our zoning soon. There is a model bylaw that the state came out with last year. No one has adopted it yet because it just came out in the fall. But it is brand new and it was required to be released because of the 2024 Climate Act, which is going to create a comprehensive permit process for BESS that the state, it's not overriding local zoning, but it's basically like large scale BESS can apply for one permit from the state instead of going through local, regional, and state permitting. And so the state had to release.
So the state's incentivizing,
They're
basically.
incentivizing it. The state had to release, and I'm going to do a little mini.
Oh, you're going to
slideshow
present
for
to
you.
us? She's going to
So
present.
does the state override the local
No.
opinion about all this?
No.
Yes.
Well,
They do
No?
not. No, they don't override.
considering we don't have anything in,
But you have to have things. Yeah,
consider we don't have a bylaw, yes.
Right.
exactly.
Okay, so that's new to me.
Can you see
Yes.
anything? Okay, cool. So the point is, because of that, the model bylaw exists. We had talked about whether to adopt it. And so I dug into what adopting the model bylaw would entail. Long story short, adopting the model bylaw, just like with stormwater, means that you have to have your table of uses tie into the model bylaw. You have to have the zones chosen where you want to allow things and by what review process. And then you have to have your review process dialed in with the language around BESS. So I'm going to try to explain kind of what BESS is, what the tiers are like, the sizes. It's kind of hard to visualize, so I created some visuals for you, and then sort of break down what we're considering. Let me see this. Okay, so
Just before you dive into,
Yeah.
I just wanted, we originally kind of were like, we don't really need to do this, to prioritize this. But then after like thinking about it more, seeing some of the stuff in the news with other communities and municipalities kind of struggling and wrangling with these types of things.
totally.
We kind of came at the last meeting, we're like, maybe we should prioritize this.
Yeah.
And I think it's also important to note that like we do have some solar arrays in town.
Right.
And they could conceivably come back and be like, hey, we want to put a BESS system in now.
Right.
So I think it is something we want to at least
We also have
with that.
open farmland zoned industrial all over the place. So it's worth considering what we can and can't permit. Okay, so as we said, battery energy storage systems are basically the storage and distribution system for renewable energy generation facilities. So solar, geothermal, et cetera. It's how the energy is distributed either to a house or a business or into the grid. They mostly use lithium ion batteries. They're not using batteries that have like battery acid leaking into the ground. It's like a solid state battery, similar to a laptop or electric vehicle. Whenever you see storage mentioned in the context of renewable energy, it's referring basically to a battery. So that's the shorthand I kept seeing. They're being built because increased demand for renewable energy systems, both by, as I just said, small scale, sort of like building and homeowners who are looking to reduce their bills and have backup power sources. And then also the state is incentivizing these large scale installations of BESS because it's a key component of their net zero emissions by 2050 plan. They can't build as much solar as they want to without the storage and distribution piece. So at tier 1, there's 3 tiers of BESS. It's the sizes of them. I had never seen them before, I didn't think. At tier 1, they look kind of like this little guy off to the right.
So is
It
that
could
what like they're
be-
selling? That's what like the solar company, when I got my solar panels a few
Mhm.
months ago, they were trying to sell me one of these.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And so it can be little like this, like the size of like a electric car charger style. You can see that it's kind of scaled to the size of the solar panel. This is tier 1. Or this is also tier 1. You could have like a much bigger solar array on your house, and then these types of like refrigerator-sized BESS. This is tier 1. Okay. Tier 2, you start to get things that look like this. So it's like person for scale. We have a
Is that you inspecting?
yeah, in disguise.
Is that a model?
Disguise as an inspector? Yeah.
Model sized?
There's like a gravel and asphalt pad. They have to be spaced for fire suppression, things like this, and they're often co-located with a renewable energy generation infrastructure. You might see it on like a community college or like a little business park or something. This is tier
That was tier 2.
3. That was tier 2.
Do you have a wattage rating for tier 2?
I do in a different thing. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that
I can
then
look it up.
later. Thanks.
Tier 3 is you start to have like driving lanes. You can see that it's scaled to the solar off to the side here and this other parcel.
And are these
possibly.
tiers defined by these are the state
Yes, these are the
definition?
state
Okay.
tiers. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. And then this is also tier 3.
Oh, geez.
So there's a wide range within, and you start to have, you can see like it might be paired with this facility over to the left, and they can be on different parcels. And this serves like the grid. So the differences between the tiers, tier 1 is for like one building or a site. The power stays on site. There's like not export back to the grid. Tier 2, multiple buildings or a little campus. Power is still shared within that defined area, and it doesn't really go back into the grid. And tier 3 is like a part of regional infrastructure, and it's might be sited in a town, but it's serving the regional infrastructure.
Mhm.
Okay. What are the risks associated with each tier? Tier 1, it's really the risks associated with any other common building infrastructure. Tier 2, you start to get like potential for thermal runaway, which is batteries overheating. In the past, there were fires, hot gas release, and then breakdowns are prevented by temperature sensors and auto shutoffs. But you can still have, if there is a fire, they have to use chemicals to put the fire out, and then you can have runoff from the chemicals that they use in fire suppression. And then tier 3, you have this
Which could happen
large-
with tier 1 too.
Potentially, I guess so. Yeah. Tier 3, you have a large runoff footprint. These are when people think of like BESS failing, it's at this scale because it's linked into the regional infrastructure and it presents a much scarier prospect. But a lot of those were between 2017 and 2022, and since then, the fire control system has been much improved, and the permitting has been improved, and the safeties have been improved. It says that in the official DEP document, it said that the safety has improved 97% since 2018 for the large scale BESS. So that's a good thing, but I think the framework we're being asked to think with is even if there's like a 2 or 3% chance of failure, where can we afford to have that failure in town? So do we want to have it in the floodplain? Do we want to have it drinking water supply?
Imagine not. But
Probably
those are
not.
similarly though, like if there was a house fire on that land
Right.
and you had chemicals to put out a house fire there, like that's still
Totally.
happening.
Are we
Nuts.
dealing yet with the potential for this happening right now in town? Are there solar arrays that would support this
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
town?
Oh,
Yeah.
Where?
My house
Like at that
for
big-
the tier 1.
the
No, I'm
big
talking about
Eversource
for the
deal.
tier 3.
Tier 2
Oh,
and 3.
do we have any
We have
utility
two-
scale solar?
We have
big
2 or
Eversource
3
deal.
of them.
S turns on North Hatfield.
There you go.
Which one?
S turns on North Hatfield Road.
Yeah, right there.
And you gotta cut
Okay.
that
And there's
dirt-
one
you gotta
on
cut that dirt
by
road
s-
back from the.
And there's Plain Road. There's a big one on Plain Road also.
I did
Yeah.
just get a developer sort of scouting email about a large scale solar too from like last week. So it's like, I think we have a lot of land that would support large scale solar and we do allow it. So
Large.
And would that same land support this situation?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Battery energy storage is much smaller in terms of the area that it requires compared to the solar that would be feeding into it.
Right. Okay.
So 20 acres of solar, you can put less than an acre of batteries on it to capture all that energy and
Mhm.
and store it.
So
Please, I
okay,
didn't mean
this
to
is your,
interrupt.
I think
Keep
this
going.
is the number you were looking for. Tier 3 is, it's basically 100 megawatt hours or more.
Sorry.
God bless.
And then tier 1 and 2 is less than 100 megawatt hours.
What is tier
So-
1? Was that
Tier
limited?
1?
What is tier 1? Is it limited?
No
Have a
idea.
high limit?
I don't remember.
So Town of West Hampton's putting in a 125 kilowatt hour solar array. I'm sorry, it's a 175 kilowatt array.
Mhm,
Think 8 times the normal average home array.
mhm.
We're also putting in a battery energy storage system. The battery energy storage system is 75 kilowatt hour in capacity.
Okay,
It will take up no more space than a larger home generator.
okay, yeah.
4 foot by 6 foot footprint, about 6 feet tall, self-contained, full fire suppression built into the unit.
Yeah.
That's 75 kilowatt.
So it's tier 2?
It would be tier 1,
It's tier 1 still.
well
Okay.
under tier 1, yeah. And it will provide 40 kilowatt hours, or about 40 kilowatt hours
Mhm.
for 4 hours. That's enough to power your home for 48 hours. I mean, this is attached to the regional or the elementary school, so it's a
Okay.
bigger facility. The average home battery is only going to be 1/4 of that capacity, 10
Sure.
kilowatt hours. Think about the same size as your solar array. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's minor. They're also self-contained. They have all sorts of temperature controls and all that. When you're talking about anything more than 100 kilowatt hours, that's where you get into multiple units on site. Fire suppression is much more critical.
Mhm.
Mega, if you're
This is
talking about
megawatts though.
yeah, if you're talking about 100 megawatt hours, that's a massive
Yeah, they're huge.
setup.
Yeah.
I'd love to see one come into town because our taxes would go down. Our property taxes
Sure.
would drop by a third.
Why
Think
is that?
because it's the same reason why Northfield and Irving don't pay very high property taxes.
Why is that?
This facility
have
is an energy facility. It
Uh-huh.
is a generation plant. You would get all the benefit
Mhm.
tax-wise. It would have a value.
And does that value get spread across the town? Or does that value only apply to the people that are running the show, so to speak?
Well, the value would be in that the town gets to tax that facility
Okay.
at its retail value.
Uh-huh.
Tens, if not 100 million or more, depending on the capacity of the system. Tax value on that, great. We don't
Mhm.
have to worry about anything ever again. I'd
Right.
love to see that for that reason.
Sure.
That being said, question for you: in all your reading, have you ever found anything which allows us to limit the kinds of battery technology we would allow?
The scale, you mean?
Not the scale, not the capacity,
Types.
the
The kind?
technology. Lithium ion is dangerous and causes fires. Lithium iron phosphate, 1/20th the risk.
No, definitely have not gotten to that
Okay.
level of.
That would be my first question
Okay.
to council or to whomever is, can
Can
we
ban a
prohibit lithium
certain-
ion
we
battery
prohibit lithium
technology
ion?
at any kind of scale?
Okay. Um,
Lithium ion batteries, if you look at them the wrong way, they will burst into flames. The people who've had their phones burst into flames in their pocket, those were lithium ion batteries.
okay, great question. Okay, so starting July 1st, 2026 is when the state is going to start issuing these consolidated permits,
Thanks.
which it expedites the permitting process. It does not ignore local zoning or anything like that, but if we don't have any about it, it doesn't help us at all.
So that means we have to pass something at town meeting if we
We
wanted
appeal to try to do something.
something.
And I will walk you through what I think the vulnerabilities in our zoning are next, but I will get through the rest of this. Basically, it still has to we don't have to come up with any kind of like fire code review. All of that is done by local and state code. DEP regulates drinking water protection. They're banned in zone 1, which is the area immediately surrounding public water supply. We can regulate what happens in zone 2 and zone A, which are other water supply.
Are zone
towns.
2 and zone A also parts of the state, like you're throwing
There's
out?
DEP, I'm about to, yeah, there's
Okay,
DEP
sorry.
regulations that we would use to
Gotcha.
regulate it, basically. It's surface and groundwater supply, but we have to say so
Mhm.
in our zoning. And then Concom would regulate anything within jurisdiction of the Wetlands Protection Act. So this is a really interesting question about lithium ion. What we can't do as a town, we can't ban BESS outright at any scale across town. We can't say no zone 3 or tier 3
We can be
anywhere.
like only in industrial and there's only
Right.
like
And if you
2%
have 1 acre of industrial.
We
Right,
also
exactly.
can't do anything that the AG would see as a de facto ban. So we can't say no BESS in residential because like 80% of our land area is residential.
Mhm.
So we can, there's no hard cutoff, but it starts to be like the AG will be will not look kindly upon what appears to be trying to get around this and like only pick parcels that have no utility supply or something like that. We can limit or prohibit BESS in zones that already have clearly stated public health and safety directives. So if it's like
Or floodwater.
in our floodwater, our drinking supply, things like this, we can back it up by that. And I'm
The floodplain.
exactly. And then we can adopt the model bylaw when we're able to, and then we can tie BESS into like a robust site plan review, special permit process. So what we should be asking ourselves now, and then I have one more thing to tell you about, and then we can look at a decision-making framework for what to actually do for town meeting, is how much of this analysis do we really have time for before May, or before, I guess, March is what we're talking about instead of February. How much of this needs to be done now? How much can Ecode 360 and the zoning consultant work on for us? And then ultimately, like, how do we want to approach this? Like, are we enthusiastic about it? Whatever. So what I've done is I gave you this little handout, and the first thing on it is what I see as some vulnerabilities in our zoning, where we might be basically allowing BESS at any scale or any tier as it stands. So just so that we're all on the same page, not mentioning something in the zoning doesn't ban it. We've talked about that before. Yes.
Unless the zoning is written that way.
but that you have to mention it in order to. And you mean unless you wrote in something that says nothing that we didn't put in here is allowed?
Except for uses such as are expressly stated or uses similar to what are expressly stated, no use in Hatfield shall be permitted except the following.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have that. I don't
We
think.
don't have
I
that?
don't think we
That's
have
not
that.
in the, well, anyway, okay.
All
right.
But I'll double check. 'Cause that would be
But
great.
we can't, battery energy is the same as solar. We can't ban
We
it.
can't ban
we
it.
cannot ban
For
it.
this, it wouldn't even, right.
Yeah.
For this, that wouldn't work, even if we had that clause. So, okay, my concerns are,
Yep.
and you probably don't have the zoning right in front of you, but I will read to you what it says. So in the table of uses, 5.26,
Mhm.
we allow renewable or alternative energy development facilities, renewable or alternative research and development facilities, or renewable or alternative energy manufacturing facilities, including blah, 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 solar, thermal, solar voltaic. Okay. We allow those by site plan review in light industrial and industrial. Okay. I think that language does not exclude this.
Correct. So
So
that would be anywhere that's zoned light industrial or industrial, it would be allowed, you'd say.
It'd be site plan review, exactly.
And so this can't really go on agricultural farmland.
Sure can.
Sure.
Yeah, now it can.
You mean zoned in the ag zone, you mean?
Yeah,
Zoned agricultural?
right.
Well, it says no, but only under 5.26, right? So if it's zoned ag, then no. Yeah, it's only allowed in light industrial or heavy industrial by site plan review. Okay,
By site plan review.
yeah.
Mhm.
Then my next thing is that 6.12, okay,
Yep.
is the accessory use
Mm-hmm.
thing. So any accessory use customarily incidental to any permitted use is allowed across the board by right, yes, everywhere. So there's increasing argument to support the idea that BESS is an accessory to solar. And so we might be saying,
Or an accessory use to any use that's happening on a part, like let's say there's any business happening and they want to put in a BESS system, as long as it's, there's a strong argument that it's an accessory too.
right, exactly.
And
And since
so-
we don't mention BESS anywhere, it might at least cause confusion if we're at the planning board and we're like, is this an accessory use that's allowed everywhere? Yes. Or is it not allowed here?
Yep.
Except for in light industrial and industrial. It's like
Yep.
at least creating an issue.
Help me understand your reference. You're referencing
sorry.
6.12
Of the table of
uses.
of the
use,
zoning bylaw?
of the table of uses.
Table of uses,
Sorry,
not
sorry,
the
sorry.
section.
I did not
Okay.
make that clear at all.
Table of uses is 3.3.
Page 28.
Page 20, page 28, 29.
Yeah, okay.
So the first thing, sorry, that since you were, the first thing was just that we allow renewable energy stuff, 5.26. We allow it by site plan review in light industrial and industrial.
Yeah, that's industrial.
But we don't actually have specific criteria for that. And we don't have requirements specific to
Storage
energy
or
storage
distribution.
systems or energy generation like solar or wind.
Right. It's just that you
We don't
could
have
argue-
criteria that they must meet at a minimum.
We have
So-
solar stuff
so-
in the bylaw.
Is that there somewhere?
Solar review stuff in the bylaw, but that's the only one. We don't
for
have.
solar.
So, and since we don't mention BESS, somebody might try to squeeze it into 5.26. And then the next thing that we talked about just now was that in 6.12 of the table of uses on the next page, page 29, any accessory use customarily incidental to a permitted use is allowed with no review in every zone.
Yeah, okay. That's not gonna go.
Smooth.
So that's a rough, at the very least, I mean, and we were just saying too, that like, it's also confusing because are we saying we're allowing it yes in every zone? Or are we saying, according to 5.26, no, we're only allowing it in light industrial and industrial, if
Right.
they're trying to say best. And then the next thing is just that 5.31 and 5.32 are solar allowances.
Is this table of use or?
Yes, still table of use. 5.31 and 5.32 are solar
Mhm.
allowances, and you can see like if it's a larger than 2 acre solar array, it's allowed by site plan review
In any zone.
in 3 places and site plan approval in the other places. And so a larger than 2 acre solar could be allowed, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The only cap on the size is our cap on solar, and we allow larger than 2 acre solar. So those are my thoughts about where the holes in our table of uses are for this. And then in terms of what we could consider, I'm almost done.
Are you Doug, are you looking at 5.31 and 5.32?
I am looking at
Mhm.
those two. Yes, that's fine.
Just that's how big the solar is that we allow, and that
Understood.
Whatever
I would say
accessory
that's
best would
incredibly
be.
large.
it's quite large.
I would say that's actually something we should look at for this year. To
Okay.
reduce that number.
The 2 acre thing, or the whole, or the kilowatt hour.
Well, I mean, it's site plan review. SPR is a special permit with site plan or just site plan review?
It's by right with site plan review, basically.
I guess site plan review, at least public notice to the abutters and fair enough.
And we can, in this meeting, we can glance at what we have for solar in the bylaw if you want to see like how substantial it is. But so, okay, my thoughts about actually adopting the model bylaw this year are that it is probably too big of a lift. We could try, but we'd have to, it would just be a bigger lift. Maybe it's not too big of a lift. If we have till March, maybe it's okay. But it would require like a lot more legal review, making sure that the model bylaw doesn't conflict with anything in our table of uses, anything in the rest of our bylaw about renewable energy, all of that. Alternatively, we could at least try to get BESS into the table of uses, have like a specific line for BESS, define the tiers by the kilowatt hours, have them in there, and then decide how that we'd have to pick which zones we're allowing what in if we did that. We could try saying, and we'd have to draft something for the attorney and then also just see what the AG says. But we could try to ban it in the zones 2 and 3, or tiers 2 and 3. We could try to ban them in floodplain and water supply protection zone 2 and A. I think from what I've read, that's defensible because it's a public health concern, and it's not like the vast majority of our land area.
Kind of. Kind of.
The floodplain is big for
Yeah.
sure. I don't think, I mean, that would be maybe the only thing, but is that it's a big floodplain.
Does the combination of those zones exceed 75% of the total land area in Hatfield?
We'd have to look into it, yeah.
Okay.
I know that PVPC did, I think in the comprehensive plan, there's actually a percent breakdown of the
towns.
area by
Mhm.
zone. Yeah.
Yep.
So we could look at that.
But
it's
some
already-
of those overlap, and so
That's
that would be
true.
tough.
Yeah, true. And then if we add BESS to the table of uses, we'd need, and we have it go through like site plan review, we could basically add BESS into our existing solar review process for site plan, because that's in site plan review.
Where is the regulations for solar in the bylaw?
It's in.
I'm just not seeing it in the
There
table
we
of
go.
contents.
See, I know it's weird
Because it was
away.
it was tacked on, and it's probably somewhere it shouldn't be, near the end,
What is that?
or like plopped somewhere.
Mm,
Some
think
years
it's
back, we
under-
modified the Edgartown zoning bylaw, so it just, instead of referring to solar energy, it refers to energy systems, and it encompasses solar and wind, and would automatically carry battery systems as well.
Windmills,
Um,
geothermal, and
Anything which
Water wheels.
exceed, ground mounted exceeds a certain square footage, and I think we actually put a minimum generation capacity, kilowatts, that anything above that requires such and such a review.
Okay, it's on page 44 of the zoning bylaw. It's under the site plan review process. Well, it's under,
Yeah, this is one of the
All of our
areas
things are
where it
bulleted.
shouldn't be there. Yeah.
exactly. It's like it's tucked underneath the review process for site plan approval, which doesn't make any sense, but it's on page 44.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just design and performance standards.
So on page 44,
Yeah,
yeah, so,
it's just additional standards for this type of use.
Mhm.
right.
Okay.
So, and then above that is just like what you need to include in the application. Um,
I would,
so,
I would love to look and see what other towns are doing
mhm,
with their solar bylaws. And I know other towns do, treat them as separate types of applications, special permits and or just site plan reviews or whatever. And I think if we can find something that we like, we can roll battery energy storage into that. Recognize it is, battery energy storage, whether it's being added to an existing development or proposed with a new development, shall require, review under this section.
so basically we're looking at,
Did you also look at section 6.23 of our table of use and 6.24?
1, 2, 3. Roof or ground mount solar energy, because it's already an accessory use, I think is the justification for why it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
no cooperative house. would be good.
And then
that's as
yeah.
simple as changing the narrative. I can wordsmith it right now. Energy generation or storage system that generates up to 200% of the property use. Generates or stores up to 200% of the property use is as of right siting.
Instead of PV.
Yeah, just energy generation or storage. So that would cover everything, wind, you name it.
And then we still want it allowed everywhere. Is that what you're saying?
Well, if it's only 200% of the
Okay.
property's usage, I mean, that would give me the right to install an 18 kilowatt hour battery on my property, and well, I have the right to do it as long as I get the electrical permit for it.
So,
How does that relate to your usage, though? I
Well,
mean,
that's the thing, is that I'd have to sort of, if there was a question about it, if I'm proposing to put in a 60 kilowatt battery, then the electrical inspector should say, no, wait, show me a couple of electric bills that shows you're using 30 kilowatt hours,
Uh-huh.
per month or whatever.
Yeah, what are you growing in your house?
So
there?
is that the
Yeah,
only,
right.
is that the only restriction?
Well, the challenge is that for residential, is that for industrial? And
Right.
now if you have a factory that's that's using 500 kilowatt hours per day,
Right.
does that give them the right to put in a megawatt battery system at their properry?
Yeah,
I
and
would-
some would argue that it's environmentally the right thing to do.
Is the right thing to do. Yeah. They're not going to put one in unless they're putting in solar panels enough to charge it and to use the energy. So
Yeah, that means somebody can't put it in to sell energy back to whoever.
well, if they, I mean,
It's up to
there's always the
200%.
exchange.
Tier
If it's
one
grid
was
tied,
like
they're going back and forth.
Usually doesn't
Yeah.
distribute back to the grid. Didn't say
Yeah,
must
yeah.
not, cannot. You can get into a cooperative
Mhm.
with a bunch of neighbors on the same block with this. and
Right. But
you sell it back.
a 1 megawatt battery installation is the size of 3 40-foot containers. And they're self-contained and they have fire suppression built into them. There's regulations, requirements as to how close they can be to each other, so on and so forth. So I don't necessarily have an objection to that. It's the megawatt scale,
Mhm.
100
The tier-
megawatt scale is a tier 3.
It's the tier 3 that the state is going to allow to be issued. Okay, let's just think like worst case scenario is the state passes this, the municipalities that have not put anything forward at town meeting, these corporations are gonna be targeting the town, probably small towns, frankly, that don't have the energy
no
or
rules.
that don't have the rules in place.
Mm.
And
Not
we
if
have
they
no
got
right,
demand,
and we
right.
have no like recourse,
Mhm.
right? Is
Mhm.
that like the worst case scenario?
Mhm.
This like, and giant thing comes in and gets plopped in industrially zoned land or not industrial zoned land, anything. Yeah, and that is not protection, that is arguably not near water.
And is
then-
water the only thing that is the standard by which things have to be protected?
Amazing question. Kind of.
Yeah.
Drinking
Well,
water,
it's what
floodplain.
what they're
Yeah,
planning to
wetlands,
pass is you
right.
have to have a
It's-
So it's all about
defensible-
water, pretty much.
for public health.
It's based on the
Right.
fact that if you have a fire at one of these batteries, you're going to be dumping water on it for 2 to 3 days to keep it cool, to keep the surrounding structures cool.
Right.
The batteries will leach chemicals off, either
Mhm.
in vapors that go into the atmosphere or in chemicals that then get washed down into the ground via
Right.
the stormwater. You don't want that anywhere near your groundwater because they are the nasty kind. They're forever chemicals.
Forever chemical.
And you've
Right.
poisoned your aquifer.
Hmm.
So for that reason, this is where for a megawatt storage facility, do we do an impervious surface as a requirement? Do we do water damming around the entire
Damming,
facility
yeah.
as a requirement?
Make it so
Um,
costly that they won't do
Yeah.
it.
I mean, right.
I think it's not unreasonable to ask for that.
Absolutely.
So
I
are
mean, I
we-
think
are-
that's
ones,
Are
yeah.
we allowed as a town to put those protections in?
Yeah, but
to-
I don't know if we'll be ready for that
Right.
for May.
That would be the goal. I think
No,
we should also
what I
shoot for,
mean is
like,
before they get permitted,
for July.
are we going to be able to protect ourselves from the potential hazards that this might
That's the
cause?
question.
That's the question.
What can we get done
What do
by
we get
May?
done from it by May
Right.
is the
So-
question.
And do we have the ability to restrict these things?
The state
No.
is saying
We
no.
cannot ban any single tier townwide. Is that
Okay.
part of your, yeah. part of
Or
your question.
appear to by
Or
restricting it to
effectively.
like 4 or 5 lots. or
Except for the
something.
watershed stuff,
Although,
unless it's.
I talked to the attorney about it. I was like, can we ban best tiers 2 and 3 in our water supply protection districts and in the floodplain? And he said, that does sound like a moratorium. There is like defensibility for that, but you'd have to write something up, send it to me, and then like the worst case scenario is that the AG rejects it. But that would be an argument for like it's written into our zoning, which is the requirement, that that's like a public health and safety designated zone, which is like where it comes back to if our zones have like a clearly stated purpose, it helps us. So we can try to do that. Again, it's already banned in zone 1, but it's not
Not-
banned.
Well, I mean, it would be. it
Zone,
would be
okay, you're
def-
saying zone 1 is
Zone one-
not best is zone, I'm getting.
Sorry, I know.
Residential.
Zone 1 is the area directly around
Water supply.
delineated
Aquifers.
area around public water supply.
That
Which
is like,
what,
no, that's
300
a,
feet from a well, 300
and
feet from the
that's
shore.
like
of an
all of
aquifer.
like
Horse
Horse
Mountain,
Mountain, and
yeah.
then there's another part right on the Whately line on 5 and 10.
Exactly. And then there's one south too.
Okay, along 5 and 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not for nothing. Anything we do put in place, and because we're worried about water and so on and so forth, every one of these battery storage units requires both heating and cooling. In the summertime, you have big giant containers, metal containers, sealed containers that have to be cooled.
Hmm.
You're talking about lots and lots and lots of air conditioners.
Another more energy.
Noise becomes a
Ooh.
problem. And being someone who's lives in the backyard of Kozlowski's up there, I'm very aware of the fact that
Actually,
machinery can be annoying
At
to have
least,
running
something.
24/7.
at least annoying.
So I think that actually should be something that we look at
the
as well.
DEP, so in this like memo from the DEP about this, they have a whole thing about noise where they say BESS can generate significant levels of sound from cooling systems, inverters, system electronics, and transformers. Blah, 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 can become a nuisance. It can be as much as 40 decibels about background sound levels if not appropriately designed to attenuate sounds. BESS must comply with any local noise bylaws, which
We don't have any.
There goes one protection out the window.
Okay.
so
Would you like one? I'll find one.
noise ordinance. We've talked about this.
We can also say that any tier 3 battery energy system has to be surrounded by an earthen berm that exceeds the height of the nearest structure by a minimum of 50%. Well, literally to
Yeah.
create an earth boundary
Mhm.
around these things.
Yeah.
And that will prevent sound from bleeding too far off of the site. So
Well, CNS had to do something similar.
Did they?
Mhm.
Yeah, along North Hatfield Road.
Yeah,
there's
that's why they have
there's a
that whole thing
berm,
with the
that
trees
whole Pine planted.
That are all
berm.
dying now.
Yeah.
And trees planted on top of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like multiple rows of trees. Our buffer zone for industrial, light industrial is quite large.
Well, and a site like CNS is going to be a place where you're going to probably see interest in not a tier 3, but a tier 2 system, I'll bet.
Okay.
Right. They would want to probably help offset
Yeah,
their.
roof mounted solar, guess what? That's by right. And then a battery energy system,
Right.
that's no more than 200% of the usage on site. That's going to be a pretty big
Right.
system.
For there, yeah.
But
They use
That's
an
okay, that's
astronomical
okay.
amount.
Right, but
That's
that's
exactly where we
what
want
we
it to
want,
be.
though.
Yeah, we want
Right.
that.
Right. We just have
You
to,
want buildings to be able
Yeah.
to do that to themselves.
Yeah.
To like,
exactly.
So having, things like, sound deflection or sound mitigation, water runoff mitigation, in case
exactly.
of a fire and you've got to drown this thing.
Yeah.
Perfectly defensible.
Yeah, those are just conditions for approval. We're not saying no, you just have to build it our way. That's allowable. That's, I'm being
It's
serious.
allowable for us
Yeah.
to have that restriction.
Yes.
Okay.
But also like
Yeah.
think
Not
of it
restrictions,
like the
just
open space
conditions of
development.
approval.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could also think of it like the open space development bylaw, where it's like if you somehow incentivize or you build in like saving 50% of the land, like those are the types of
Mm.
things we could
Yeah.
sort of think of this as an opportunity to do.
Yep.
Or that you have to do substantial mitigation, or you have to preserve all the native soil on site, or you have to do something like this. Like we could actually shoot for the moon with like what we want from them
Mhm.
in exchange. We just don't have time to do that right
Mhm.
now, but
This year.
that's what I
Mhm.
think that's definitely what we should try to do with the zoning consultant or,
I think we do need some sort of stopgap, something though, just
Totally.
in case, so we're not like a target for.
I think we are kind of a target.
So
Yeah.
one of the things about removing soil
Yeah.
is that when they built the new elementary school,
Mhm.
which is now not a new elementary school,
First
enormous
year in it.
and what?
I had 1 year in it.
Enormous amount of material was trucked off of the property and sold or bought by commercial people.
Exactly.
That should not be allowable
That's crazy.
in this situation. And I don't know why it was allowed then, because the people that were doing it didn't say anything. They just did it and no one stopped them.
'Cause we didn't write
So
it.
I mean, I think we need, if we're going to do this, we need to have some type of oversight on what actually goes on, not what gets permitted, but what actually goes on the site. And it's hard because we don't have a person that's responsible for, watching where the dirt goes, so to speak.
Right.
And there was an astronomical amount of gorgeous river bottom topsoil that was excavated out of there and gone and bought and sold to somebody, and we got nothing out of it.
It's crazy. I mean, we
That's
should-
like one of our most important, valuable resources in this
Exactly.
town.
Right? We just have phenomenal dirt.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean,
we should write that in
if
too.
we're doing that, we need to have some restrictions
That's-
on what happens to the ground around when this is
Absolutely.
happening. And
That's why all those prime farmland soils is something else that I was curious about. The question around like, oh, we restrict on water, but like
Right.
prime farmland soils is another thing. That's a finite
absolutely.
resource.
I mean, we want to pollute our prime farmland.
Right.
One of the things that
Exactly.
we've been talking about in West Hampton is the fact we don't have a whole lot of rock up there, not a lot of good soil, but we have a lot of forests, a
Mhm.
lot of undisturbed natural areas. And we're seeing the word coming from Boston saying we want to encourage more solar, more energy
Mhm.
development. And guess what? They're going to be coming to West Hampton. And just like they did in Orange and a few other places
We're
where they
talking about doing
strip
it in
cut the
Worthington.
sides of a
and-
mountain
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
to put solar panels on it just because it happens to face south.
Exactly.
Somewhere there has to be recognition at the State House that natural conserved areas are valuable and should not be stripped for just the single cause of energy.
100%.
In the same way, farmland is valuable and it should not be wasted on something that permanently displaces or eliminates agriculture as a use on the site.
Well, I mean, that's the struggle of us being a planning board in a town like Hatfield, frankly, is
Yeah.
that we all really love and pride and like love our farms and our farmland.
Yeah.
And we also, as a planning board, approve development on that farmland.
Sure.
So,
I mean, things are like progressing. Like there's in Hadley, there's a few cases of like the shared integrated farmland with solar, which is like a really cool thing. There's also like grazing with solar.
so that was the
Um,
reason, a lot of the reasoning, the former chair of the planning board, when we passed these solar the idea in his mind is like, oh, if something's going to be developed, I'd rather it see solar because then it could always be returned. Instead of putting like a
You're
factory
not-
in there or something, it'll
Right.
never be returned back to farmers. So,
You're right, you do have
that's
that as an
interesting.
advantage.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what should we do?
It's tricky. It's
So it
tricky.
sounds
what
like
can we
we're-
do by May?
Yeah.
Right. And your changing of the table of usage seems
Well, that was one.
beneficent enough to
That's
get this in.
that gives you the first tier or the first
starts
scope of
the
tier. That-
conversation.
Yeah,
for
and that's
next
good.
year when it's a big.
So
But-
can you summarize that one more time? So you said for
2.3.
6.23,
Six
Changing the
point two three to simply say.
and this is with regard to tier 1 best, you're saying?
And tier 2.
No, this is for everything.
No, the way I wrote it is I just expanded that definition to say,
Oh,
so 6.23, instead of saying roof or ground mount solar energy system,
Mm-hmm.
strip it down to
Get it all.
mhm.
energy system.
Energy
Energy system.
Energy
Okay.
generation or
And-
storage.
And then under notes, any energy generation or storage system that generates or stores up to 200% of the use of energy on the property shall be by right.
Does that open me up to creating a gas-powered electric plant in my backyard? Because it's any energy generation.
If you have a backup generator, that's what you have, is a gas-powered
Mhm.
electric generation system.
That's true.
I don't have a backup generator. I'm just saying coal-fired.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Coal-fired power plant. You just made that legal.
No, fair enough.
I'm just
Okay, well, then-
advocating on the devil's side. You know,
Okay, so if you want to
Fair.
wordsmith that in, so it's renewable
Mhm.
love it. That's what I'm
energy,
talking about.
But then does that still then open it up for your
renewable
wood
energy.
firing
generation.
up plant?
Yeah, that's the thing. Or the wood, the people with the wood burning
biomass?
backyard things are like, I got
What happened with those people?
If they,
No one knows.
in this case, it's small and it's limited to no more than 200% of the usage on site. It's intended to
Limit.
allow energy
Allow,
generation and
limited.
use for the site. Storage just limited to what's available on the site. They can
So-
still sell energy to the grid. That's between them and the utility, and that's allowed under state law, so we can't override that. But it's intended to limit the scale of
Slap
what's
in
being
renewable.
proposed.
We got to define that somewhere, I think.
Yeah. I think if we use renewable energy generation
And storage.
or
whatever.
energy storage, that does not exceed 200% of the use,
Mhm.
Covers the windmill
the electrical
people,
energy use on the
covers
site.
the water dam people,
Yeah.
covers solar arrays.
And
And
we
then-
haven't seen it, but it would cover also somebody that wanted to put in a big windmill.
So then
Or
let's
a-
say
or a fleet of windmills.
somebody then wants to come and put in a giant thing. We only like factory that's only allowed in light industrial, but we then would also allow this.
Yep.
Up to
Them to
200%.
generate their own
Yeah,
power.
Up to
and so
200,
if they
yep.
want to put in 250 kilowatts of solar on their roof, and they want to put in, I'm making this up, a megawatt of battery storage that they put in the back corner of their parking lot.
It'd be part of that plan and that process, or
Sure.
and it would get us out of it slipping into accessory use because it's specifically outlined in our table of use.
Mhm. Would
Limits
that-
the size.
We should put in something somewhere that says that under no circumstances are battery energy storage systems considered an accessory use.
Right.
You either treat them under this section
Although-
6.2.
Yeah,
Three-
can you do that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That would be a question for
Yeah,
legal.
that's a good
Yeah,
question.
if,
It's an
like,
accessory
the-
use. You can't define what accessory use is.
We're very vague in accessory
Well, you
use.
say that the battery, we can exempt battery energy storage, from the term accessory use.
I think there are other
For the
things we
most
should
part,
exempt
if
too, but that's a-
6.23 goes through, you're saying that small batteries, we don't care about.
Mhm.
Not even just accessory use, they're allowed, period. For residential use, for small,
Commercial.
commercial or industrial use, that's fine.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's when it becomes the utility scale, like if someone wants to put in a 200 or a 2 megawatt solar array and battery storage, no energy is being used on the site. So it would not be allowable under 6.23.
If it was just a giant
Yeah,
best.
just for generation sale,
Solar and battery generator,
just for sale.
essentially.
So
just
not
for
used
sale.
on the site, like
So-
the field.
Not used on the
Eversource.
site.
North
Yeah.
Hatfield Road is a prime example where they have all that solar panels and it's not powering anything directly. It's selling electricity to the grid,
Mhm.
and that's all it's doing.
Yep.
Right.
So, I mean, are we gonna make this so that people can't just do that? I mean, is that what
That's
the
where
direction?
that's where we have to define the criteria
Okay,
that says, if you want to do that, okay, you can do it in these areas. You have to do it under these conditions.
Right. Okay.
We're going to say yes. You give us a proposal which shows that you're going to do that.
But
Great.
that's going to be step 2.
Congratulations.
That's
go
not for May. That's for
2080,
I honestly think that
2040.
if we really want to work on it, I know it's done in other towns. I
Mhm.
know I can pull some examples and have something that we can look at.
Oh, you're saying for the solar arrays in general, or
I'm think
best
any
too?
kind of energy installation.
This is something where it's
know.
like, why aren't the town these planners like all meeting together and working together on this? If this is something that's
These
new,
planners. Yeah.
come
Where
on,
are these planners? It's a great question.
you know.
We can assume that
Do a
nobody's
best
going to
meetup.
install a battery energy storage system on its own. Right?
It can happen.
Well, the tier 3 would be
Yeah, tier 3
on
is
its
that.
own.
Only battery energy storage
Yeah.
on its own, on a lot just tied to the
When you
grid.
say on its own, do you mean what? On a lot by
I
itself?
got 10 acres.
Yes.
I'm going to put in
Yes.
5 megawatts of battery storage.
That's what
Yes.
tier 3 is,
Yes.
basically.
Without a solar array or any other wind generation, any other energy generation connected to it.
I think the key is that it doesn't have to be on the same site as the solar. So
Mhm.
it
It's
doesn't-
just part of the grid.
Got
It's
it.
grid
Right.
infrastructure.
Okay.
so like you might have
But we can say is that under no case would the energy that's being stored be used on site.
that's what I was about to ask is
Yeah.
do we need to say in 6.23 that it has to be on
Stored
the same site
On the same parcel.
Yes.
because
Yes.
On the same
Exactly.
parcel.
key because
Yes.
otherwise it could go haywire.
I think that's fair.
Because you could have this, CNS buying a lot over here and saying that this is going to be their.
200% of their thing, but it's
Mhm.
Right.
Then, and that's fine.
Picking on
Site plan
CNS and
review, they
places.
explained that out. Okay, great. We still want to see these controls in place.
Mhm.
Okay, does that conflict, like if we throw that into 6.23, does that conflict with 5.26? Do we need to tweak 5.26?
I think that is more around
It's like production.
production and manufacturing. So this is the idea was
Storage, really.
it doesn't mention storage.
It doesn't
Oh, it's right under
manage, it
development
doesn't deal with distribution. This is all about
No, it's
making the
R&D.
facility.
The idea behind this was like
Yeah, what is the
back when this was in the early
Assembly of equipment.
early 2000s
yeah,
when this
no.
was updated. It's like this was the beginning of
Hmm.
solar and like wind
Mhm.
and like technology. It was more of like a technology. Let's allow for factories to create this green energy technology.
like a factory that makes solar panels?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or wind
Okay.
turbines or
Right.
assembles
Got it.
Or any
batteries
sort
or-
of
yeah.
like any sort of product that could be considered renewable alternative energy
Okay.
So
factories.
can this be
Or like
wrongly interpreted?
right, that's a good
include that?
question.
That's the thing.
5.2.
We're just
There's
double
always going to
checking.
be somebody that
Could argue legally.
not just argue legally, try to find a way that their little niche is going to be okay,
Mhm.
or they're going to fly under the radar somehow
This
and not break any rules, so to speak.
I would under 5.26. The list at the end of that description,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and/or assembly of equipment for solar, thermal, solar voltaic, hydroelectric, and wind generation
Yep.
include battery energy storage systems, or even just simply
Yes.
energy storage systems. Never mind battery.
Okay, so as soon as we put that in, which is cool, we're saying that we're allowing it by site plan review. So then we have to make sure that our site plan review process,
mentions best.
or
Yeah.
at least doesn't, mentions it.
Yep.
So that's the next little step. And then so far we
Sounds
haven't
like a-
talked about adding a line of its own or like a entry of its own for BESS.
And
We're trying to tucking it into other things.
yeah, and that's where I would say that we really want to put in specific criteria. We need a separate section somewhere in the bylaw which says the installation of any battery energy storage system not covered under section 6.23 or whatever that is.
Yeah.
6.24. The following criteria shall be required.
And that's where you're saying. you
And
wanna
that's
pull
where
from
we
another
start to limit
town.
it to specific zones in town, prohibit it from
Berms.
watersheds, the
Right.
earthen berms, A subsurface
For sure.
water capture
What
system.
are you thinking about here? You're thinking about
Berm?
text on the page.
Are
A page.
Page.
I think a page,
Okay.
page and a half at the most.
we talking
Um,
about that for May?
Yeah,
Okay,
Liftable.
I think
I
so.
think it's possible.
You're saying pull, yeah.
Create a dotted section.
I'm
About
thinking
that.
about going to how that fits into a town meeting warrant article.
It would have to be Well, depends on how the town administrator and the lawyer want to put the.
Because
warrant
it's
together.
like, it's easy to be like, that's how all these have come in. It's like slap together this section and plop it in. But if we're tweaking this and tweaking that and tweaking this, is that multiple warrant articles? Is that one warrant article?
It's a great question.
I would say one or nothing.
I agree.
Honestly,
Right.
You want to make all the changes so everything is.
Three
consistent.
changes. Are
And if somebody says,
all
"Well, I want to make an
integrated.
amendment," if you make an amendment, it could sink the whole thing.
Because you can't pass like one piece of it and then leave the other thing
And if-
hanging, and then we have a giant hole in our.
Yeah, please.
Exactly.
And if we don't do this now, someone can come in July 1st and put in the
That's
battery energy storage system by right.
That's
So.
So, okay, when you're talking about one page on
Okay,
Bess, are we,
He's saying,
is that under site plan review? Is that under special, are we like, how do we fit that in with our
I-
existing review processes?
I think you have to do site plan review because special permit gives the planning board the right to say no.
Exactly.
Site plan review assumes yes
Yeah.
and only makes sure that the conditions that the town want.
so if
All
we
right.
make
So far, we've only.
extremely extreme conditions.
Yeah, very drastic.
There's also some amount of like, fee, like to the extent feasible, like that you have to, like I think probably with site plan review, there's a limit to what you can demand. So that brings us to, so far, to recap, we've said we're going to try to do no in floodplain and water supply protection districts.
Mhm.
Site plan review, we have in light industrial and industrial, if we're tucking Bess into 5.26, and then the permitting language will fit under site plan review. Because so far, that's the only review process that we've talked about for
Yep.
Bess,
That
right?
sounds
Yep.
right. That sounds right.
Okay. So under,
Would
plan
tucking
review.
Bess, like the best tier 3, only in industrial and light industrial, would that be considered too restrictive or no?
I think it would depend on how much of that we have in town. It's a,
Not
is
that
it
much.
bulge? I don't know. It's a strip. You're saying if we allow
If we allowed it in light
2 and
industrial
3.
and industrial,
only,
yep, and only and not in those drinking areas and supply areas. It's not much.
it's not a lot.
It's like 2 lots.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Let's point right to our big zoning map.
That we have,
And
right?
we
No,
will-
someone-
Where is it?
Oh.
Yeah, they were supposed to bring it in person and then he had to come in virtually and anyway. We'll get it.
What's the reason why you wouldn't allow it in a rural or rural residential or agricultural?
What's the reason we wouldn't allow it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Talking about
Underst-
tier
What's
three?
that?
We talking about tier 3?
yeah,
or
which tier?
Yeah.
Tier
Well,
3?
anything that's not permitted, never minding the tiers, anything that's
Sure.
not permitted under that 6.24. Energy generation for the sake of energy generation.
Why wouldn't we allow it in,
And he's not other
Residential.
zone
I mean,
because we can't not allow it.
I'll invent an example.
question? Yeah.
Let's say the pickleball court never got built.
Yeah,
Somebody wants to put a solar and battery storage system there,
yes.
Or just a battery system.
or just
not
a
even-
battery system for that matter, wants to put it there.
What's the problem you're saying?
If
Yeah.
they built the giant moat and had the giant,
Did
The
the,
only reason we wouldn't,
Yeah.
I think, is because we're presuming until maybe right now that we didn't have any language for like how to regulate it,
to condition it?
to
and-
condition it.
Yeah,
But if we have the conditions we want, maybe it's fine. Right? Hypothetically, if we have like,
because the state is making
substantial.
us say we have to.
Right. but if we have all of those conditions, it totally changes the picture of like the amount of concern around like where a tier 3 is.
Right.
Since we have to allow them.
I would allow a big buffer too.
that was going to be my next question is can we require a larger buffer between any residence and such a system?
Yeah, the noise.
Mhm.
noise and
500 feet
NIMBYs,
away from any
you know what I mean?
residence.
I don't want this.
I think so. I think so. I mean, we have
As separate
setbacks
standards.
and stuff.
Yeah, but we have setbacks from like, oh, this is an industrial
Yes.
zone next to a residential zone. But if this gets plopped in
Yeah.
a rural residential zone, could that be a special condition that we outline? Is that allowed?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think there's provisions for changing the setbacks in the model bylaw. That's like one of the big things that they let you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
500 feet.
5,000 feet. Yeah.
I know, it's
I
not.
It
know.
really isn't.
I would
Especially if you got all those things running, all that noise.
Right.
I would take a look at what we put in and changed for the marijuana bylaws from those setbacks, 'cause those are a little bit different. I think originally it was like 300 feet from any property line, but we changed it, or to every to a dwelling, but we should have changed it to property line or something like that. It should have been, because there was a lot of math being done around that.
You said you were mentioning earlier, I'm just thinking about sound.
Mhm.
You mentioned earlier that a larger facility can add up to 40 decibels.
Yep. That's what it says in the DEP memo.
There are some decibel, if you keyword search in our bylaws, Doug, there are some decibel restrictions for light industrial and industrial, and I'm curious if those align. Because that would be another argument to that those should only be allowed there, but
Mhm.
if we don't have enough of the land for that.
So just really quickly doing a quick search.
Yeah.
A decibel rating of 30 is the same as a whisper. Decibel rating of 40 is the same as a quiet office or a refrigerator. Add 40 to either one of those. From 30 you go to 40. 70 is traffic or vacuum cleaners. 80 is a police siren or a noisy restaurant.
Logarithmic.
It's logarithmic. Moderate rainfall is 50 dB. 40 to that is hair dryers, blenders, and power tools.
only
and it goes
40?
up from
So
there.
it's only 40?
40 is
It's like a white
so
noise
bad.
machine, basically.
So
No.
40 doesn't seem like it's enough protection for anything that's anywhere near it for noise pollution.
Say that again?
40 decibels as a upper limit
Mm-hmm.
does not seem like it's adequate to protect anything anywhere near this place, this facility.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. it's
40
not gonna
decibels is
trigger-
nothing.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
but is each unit make 40 decibels, and then if you add them all together?
But the thing is that if you had all those units at a 40 decibel, it would not raise the total noise. It's still only going to be 40 decibels.
Doesn't add up.
Just
enough.
does not
Well,
add up.
yeah, no, I think what you said is that generally a larger facility can generate
Yeah.
up to 40 decibels of noise above the ambient noise level.
Yeah, I think this is a typo, but it says can be as much as 40 decibels. They wrote about background sound levels. They probably mean above. Background sound
Yeah.
levels. If not appropriately designed to attenuate sound, which I think is the design is where we can.
Where you want the
condition.
conditions,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then I don't know how. Yeah, you would design it to attenuate the sound, and then that shows that you've met the local noise regulations or ordinances, like
Yep.
whatever we have for that, which we don't. But
How would,
um,
So
Okay,
when
so-
CNS first went in on North Hatfield Road, and before the rest of the industrial park was developed there were neighbors that had noise complaints that were not addressed. There was not a bylaw or anything to restrict it. And eventually what happened is they were forced to put berms up in and around the place. But on a quiet night,
you can still hear it.
you can still hear it at my house.
Mhm.
You
And they're
know?
supposed to not have backup noise,
seeping.
but they do.
Yeah, I
They're
mean,
supposed to have someone on staff on site to like
Yes.
go to for questions, and I'm pretty sure they don't
does
anymore.
not happen.
So I mean, like, yeah.
How is that supposed to get enforced?
That's why building in the physical structures from day one that don't have to be monitored, that
Right.
will just work.
Right.
Then you don't have to,
Exactly. Yeah.
and not temporary structures like fences,
Right.
but physical land features, which
Mhm.
are not going to diminish over time or
Right.
degrade or whatever.
Erode or whatever.
Anyway,
Okay, so far this is great. We have for 6.23, we're changing the sense of it basically to general clean energy instead of solar specific.
Mhm.
And then we're adding some wording around on-site only.
Mhm.
Okay. 5, is that right, Doug?
Yeah.
Okay,
sounds great.
cool. 5.26, we add BESS to the list at the end. And then through that, we are allowing it only in light industrial and industrial by right, but through site plan review.
For 5.26,
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
that's the
then-
construction of, or development of, yes.
Right.
Or the,
Yeah.
or the argument was that it doesn't fall under that also.
Yeah, well, and that's the building of the thing. That's not what's
Right.
being regulated by the state, so.
Right.
that's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. So why not put it in there? But then so where does that leave us? Because we did talk about adding a substantial page about the conditions for permitting BESS
If it
under
ends up-
site plan review.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
That's what we had talked about.
In light industrial or industrial.
Mhm.
Um,
And then,
to that end, we've got 5.31 and 5.32.
Mhm.
Yep.
Can't we just roll that in,
BESS into those.
into those? So 5.31,
Medium ground mount.
medium energy generation
AKA
or
tier
storage.
2 or tier 2 BESS.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, medium generation or storage
5.32.
facility.
AKA tier 3 BESS.
Yeah, and large energy.
Although
storage
over
facility.
500 kilowatts, that's still tier 2, right? Megawatts. Just want to,
Again, 500 kilowatts is a 40-foot long shipping container filled with batteries. That's a lot. That's going to be something for a good size industrial facility to use to capture their PV energy and then use it overnight.
but I'm saying, what if a giant, like, not affiliated with a solar comes in BESS, wants
Well,
to come in?
yeah, I think that would fall under one of those two. Yeah. I mean, it looks as though one of the categories at the top of every column. So
I know it's annoying that it
rural
doesn't-
residential, I don't
What-
know what all those refer to.
Rural
Are you
residential,
pointing
outlying
at-
residential, town center business, industrial, light industrial, ag.
So I would say then that 5.31 site plan approval or site plan review, site plan approval across the board makes sense. 5.32, that's where you start to say no, in certain areas, we're not going to allow it.
Yep.
The residential, or village residential, what have you.
It's weird that we have the exact same review processes for 5.31 and 5.32.
Yeah, kind of weird, huh?
Okay, so the language that we're going to use for conditioning it, which I think is a helpful term we should use all the time. I love that. Let's pull from wetlands. We're going to use that for all of our review processes, right? Or if we can.
Have to, because
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
We don't have any other.
So it looks
would-
like we're not meddling with 5.26 then, if we're going to be putting BESS in 5.31 or 5.32.
Is that right? Because we don't. Is anyone trying to build
Well,
BESS here?
yeah, 5.26 is for the construction and development of the things themselves, not their use.
Right.
Oh, so then why would
Factories
we
to
even
build
need to
some-
include BESS? Just keep it out. And
Yeah, we're not dealing with 526.
I wouldn't do.
We're talking about that.
Yeah, just
So-
5.2.
Yeah. And sorry, yeah,
I wouldn't touch 5.26 then.
you can leave it alone if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to make the argument that they want to make BESS parts in the
Well, in
factory,
that case,
we could
I
say
would
that.
have no objection to
Whole
it. Yeah.
other-
Oh, it's in there.
You
It's
want- you
wrapped
wanna-
in there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's absolutely in there.
Mhm.
If I want to build that
Right.
system.
It's probably
you may.
already
Or, yeah, think
included.
actually a facility might be to take batteries out of old EV cars and repurpose them into new battery storage facilities for residential use. That's a legitimate
Energy
business
generation.
model.
Renewable energy.
I'd love to see that. That'd be
I
great.
wish we could have that instead.
Why not?
Best factory. Okay, so then instead of tweaking 5.26, we're talking about 5.31 and 5.32.
Right.
Mhm.
And the language for the actual conditioning is the page that we're going to put together with all the conditions we want, which we're going to try to pull from.
Mhm. And maybe we want to make 5.32 a little bit different than in different zones.
Right. And then right.
Yes, exactly. And we can
So
look at that.
Yep.
site plan review can stay. It makes sense in industrial and light industrial.
Yep.
Business is a strange zone here.
Yeah.
I know.
Those are, if our map was consistent and didn't have those business zones plopped all over the
Weird little- yeah,
place and all
exactly.
that.
Well, yeah, I'm coming back to that myself. Yeah.
Why isn't it-
But if you have the setback requirements big enough or setbacks, then
Yep.
it would eliminate a
Yep.
lot of
Yep.
parcels.
I would say that 5.32, we should put a note in that says, subject to conditions in section XYZ, whatever that section is going to be. And that's where we'll say the following conditions shall apply for any renewable or energy storage system, renewable energy generation or storage system
Mhm.
under 5.32. And that's where we put in all the conditions.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that goes in the little notes
The note
section.
on 532.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then,
And then we're going to have to develop those.
right, and then it's still by site plan review or whatever the process is, but this section
Yep.
would fall under our existing stupid site plan review special permit
Mhm.
section temporarily until we improve our
Probably
zoning
underneath
layout.
where the solar one is, where it mentions
Right.
the solar stuff. You just plop
Yeah,
it in there.
we'll plop it next to that.
Yeah, we're going to have
For now,
to
for
amend
lack of a
or adjust
better-
that.
Another reason why we should do this now so that Eco 360 can
Catches it
catch it.
in the reorg.
Exactly.
Yep. Just
Okay.
not for now, not for this coming town meeting, but
No.
eventually I want to pull that section right out of there
The
and make
solar
it
thing?
the solar thing.
Yeah,
Make it its
totally.
own section. I'm sure that makes sense. So
So, okay, so for, what are the differences in where things are allowed between 5.31 and 5.32? How do we want to?
I think that'll be the debate that we have for the hearing.
rural
Okay.
residential, no. For 5.32, rural residential, no. What's OR?
Outline
Outline
residential.
It's
So
like West Hatfield.
probably where our water protection area is.
Yeah. Town center, no. Is TCB town center business?
Yeah. Taking care of business.
Taking care of things.
Every day,
That's fun.
every way. B is business, industrial, light industrial, agriculture. I would say agriculture.
I know.
Leave that for the debate.
Yep. I think just the clear and obvious things, village center, residential, no.
We have no village center. What, you mean like, well, there's town center,
Town
just
center,
that
that's
zone, we
sorry.
should just ban
Town center,
that?
no, definitely.
Why not?
For the larger battery energy
He's talking
storage.
about for the tier 3 type of
Yeah,
stuff.
why not?
Why not what?
If it meets the setbacks.
In the town center? Where?
Exactly.
That's the
But
thing.
but that's what I'm
Should
saying. If
allow
we're
it, but
going to be
there's no possible way you can
right,
meet the setbacks
exactly.
unless you
Is that
buy
going
10
to?
lots.
That
That's what
might
I'm
be
saying.
something that they
I can think of a couple
look
places that
at.
would.
I worry about this in my backyard on the Boyle farm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Big
Yeah.
piece, not being used very well.
Mhm.
Would make a great subdivision. It would make a fantastic subdivision. I would much rather see that there than this whole mess. But it's basically in my backyard. There's 50 feet of trees between me and it.
I apologize. I'm missing.
No,
I'm
go
missing
go
a
to your daughter's basketball game. Go.
Get out of here. Yeah, I know we're running late.
Thank you for doing this. This is really the only way to do it.
I know.
It's just, I mean, I'm sorry you don't have you could look, I don't know, the zoning. Can you see my screen? I guess
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
Great. So.
It says next steps for planning board though
Yep.
on it.
it
We're on a
does.
slide, yeah. Slide
Let
17.
me get our arms around before the February 26th.
Let me close this because. Okay. You still seeing everything?
Yep.
Okay, so
Ah, I
the
love it.
brown is
Town center business.
business.
Yep.
We could just say no because I don't think anyone will, I mean, they're
I don't-
small, it's a
The,
tiny
the
zone.
green is agricultural.
The green is ag,
And also probably
It's almost
floodplain.
all floodplain.
incidentally, yeah.
Fair enough.
It's like 90% of
The
it
yellow is
rural
Rural
residential.
And the dark yellow is outlying residential.
And
outlying, and the hash mark is the
Water,
watershed protection.
yeah.
Outlying residential is mostly forest anyways, right?
and steep slopes.
So they're not gonna,
So it's not, and
want to do
nowhere,
that
and
there.
remember that a battery energy storage system of any capacity has to have a good,
Big
strong grid
flat.
connection. Got to
Right.
have a good grid
Mhm.
connection. You got to have the power there to connect to.
So that probably won't happen out there.
So, yeah, I mean, the rural residential, I don't think we should necessarily scratch that off.
I think the concern with
We can build
not
setbacks.
doing that was that we didn't have any conditions, but if we're building conditions in, then it's like, okay,
Yeah,
potentially.
and that's where
So-
we build in the protections that says if you're 300 feet away from a residence, no, it's no go.
Right.
Um,
So should we say, the one big question is like, what is substantively the difference in our process between site plan review and special permit. I mean, special permit is regulated by the state, so we'd have to, it'd be like ultimately a yes if you, no, it would be ultimately a yes if you check all the boxes for site plan review. And then for special permit, it's like we're allowed to say no conditionally,
Yeah.
basically.
Special permit, any criteria that's not met is grounds to deny. And the courts have consistently upheld towns' rights to do that.
Right.
That, if we try to put any kind of battery energy storage or solar for that matter under special permit, it'll get struck down by the AG.
Right, because it's a decision, not a determination.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so basically what we're saying is we're trying to do all best as site plan review?
I think we have to, unless town's attorney says we can go with a special permit, but.
Right, I think that's maybe the
So
implication.
site plan review seems to, it would seem to put up a firewall for people that might live anywhere near in the area that have a problem with this.
Well, you mean special permit.
Yes. there's
Site
special-
plan review means yes, as long as you meet conditions.
Right.
Right. But the state probably will not allow a special permit
Uh-huh.
because it's
That's-
all renewable energy stuff.
That's where we need to make sure that the conditions that we put in place are strong enough to keep it outside of, close residential neighborhoods. You don't want it being built in your backyard, neither do I. We have to make sure that the conditions are something which are achievable, but automatically restrict an unwanted facility too close to anybody's.
Mhm.
Can do special permit.
Really?
Yeah, did anyone bring the bylaw that I gave you last time by any chance?
So I don't have that.
Actually, yep.
The model bylaw?
Narrate to me what your.
You gave
no,
us
the
that?
model
Zoning
bylaw.
bylaw, allowing
the
use of
model-
battery energy sources.
Exactly, yes. Okay, so on page 7, this is, sorry. If I give this to you, Doug, you'll have to just narrate what it says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask every few words.
It-
Sorry.
Provides, this is like a mock-up of how you could allow it by.
What page are you on?
7.
7.
And
Tier
they
1,
have,
Tier 2.
at the bottom, there's a key.
Residential, large.
Oh, I'm looking at it.
So
different.
they're not going with tiers 1, 2, and 3. They are gauging it by nameplate capacity. Yeah,
Okay.
good.
And at the bottom, they give a little code of what the, like, I think they say,
All they're saying special permit with site plan review. Okay, special permit.
That's cool.
Tier 3s.
oh,
Yeah.
wait. This is solar. Are you looking at the same? Sorry, I gave you,
7 is best.
Yeah,
Installations
it's
by
By
tier.
right, subject to plan.
Oh, wait, you
site
guys
plan
are looking
review.
at solar.
I gave you the wrong one.
She gave you the wrong page.
Sorry, here's the other one.
This
Oh, no, yeah, page 7 of best is what
Pass it
I'm
back.
looking
accessory
at.
use, it mentions accessory use though. That's not good. Did you see that?
Wait a second. One sec. Page, okay. Incidentally, it's also on page 7. Of the
Page
best
7 of
one.
the other 7.
Pass me back the
Pass
solar
that,
one.
pass that
Sorry.
one back. She
Different
needs
seven.
that back.
Okay.
Very similar to the other
This goes
stuff.
back.
Yeah.
This stays with
back.
us.
Go back.
Appreciate. Thank you.
Accessories.
Yeah, do you see the mention though of accessory use on that?
By right.
Let me look at it. Well, I can't.
We're
look at
going
it
to
now.
strike that whole 3 rows of that
Be a
table
special
if
permit,
we put
residential or
the,
commercial,
Mm.
site plan review and industrial and agriculture.
we can cut that whole accessory use 3 rows of that table if we do the whole best doesn't fall under accessory use.
What is B? Oh, by
So
right.
This.
By
like
right.
here,
By right.
agricultural land.
Site plan review
Yeah, okay,
or by right for tier 1 or tier 2.
okay. So somebody could put that in my backyard without a problem.
A tier 1 or a tier 2 by right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
If we adopt this, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm in favor.
you're
of that.
looking at the accessory use section though. You got to go up.
That's true.
You go to the
strike those
primary.
bottom
And
use.
three
if,
rows.
so if we say
Strike
that
those
batteries are
bottom.
never an
Yep.
accessory use, we
Yep.
strike those bottom 3 use.
If we can get away with that.
Then in an agriculture on a tier 1, which I think is still, that's huge. That's 500 kW, isn't it?
No, tier 1's the little ones, right? Oh, I don't remember the limits. I don't remember
It's
the
up to
limits.
500 kilowatt for
That's
tier
pretty
1,
big.
up to 99 megawatt for tier 2.
That's huge. I wish they gave a few more nuances on that.
Categories, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have to use those tiers as discriminating levels between
It looks
decide
like,
on our own nameplate capacity?
We do tier 1A, tier 2B.
Well, nameplate capacity, up to 100 kilowatt.
Well, like we said, up to 200% of your
Hmm.
energy use.
That
is-
seems to be fair, because then it's, no, I'm
Ah,
helping to,
page 2,
Mhm.
which you don't have, Doug. I'm sorry. Take this whole thing. Sorry.
Look on there. Just look on there. It's right there.
Oh, it is?
right here.
Okay, great. The tiers described below were developed based partially on input from stakeholders, including municipal blah, blah, blah. The municipality may wish to consider alternate tiers based on local health, safety, environmental, or other public concerns. The upper limit of the lowest tier reflects the commercially available systems and how they are generally configured. Towns with existing best bylaws typically have upper limits for the lowest tier, ranging from 20 to 600 kilowatt hours.
For limits for the lowest tier. Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah,
And-
on the solar, they had a 25 kilowatt hour upper limit for solar that's basically allowed by right anywhere, which that's fair enough. That's a residential size system, no
Sure.
problem. That
Yeah.
would be a Tesla battery on the sidewall of your house or
Mhm.
something
Right.
like that. No harm, no foul.
Right.
25 to 250, maybe that's our next tier. That's a standalone generator, but still self-contained, about less than the size of a small sedan, really small. And it might have some air conditioning in the summer, but no more noisy than your air conditioner on the side of your house. Anything above that, but below the 100 megawatt, which is the upper limit, that's where it gets kicked over to the state. Anything above that, now we say, okay, this is by special permit.
All of it, special
We
permit.
make our own.
And
megawatt
we
limits
develop our
rather
own
than
criteria. and
Wattage limits.
Yeah.
I
If
love
we
that.
can do that, if we can develop our own wattage limits, I think that,
Says right here, towns may.
Says it may.
there you go.
Fantastic idea.
May.
Amazing idea. Okay.
So we don't have to deal with this confusing tier.
voting
We
on
can
it.
create
Yeah,
our
we
own
don't
thing.
have to.
No, we have to develop all this.
By 5
Right.
of 8.
Okay.
No votes. No votes or votes
We
are
still
done.
have,
Need to
we still
vote
have
on
a quorum
anything.
with 3 of us, so
Okay.
you can
We
go
don't
if
have
you need to.
any minutes to approve. So
No.
vote.
We're going to work on developing the criteria.
Yep.
We could talk about and maybe do a little bit of research on the types of battery systems that are out there and what people are installing. So we
Right.
can maybe develop more logical tiers based on,
Breakdown of
This
the
is such a
actual
size.
fast moving target.
Could you pass
You
me
can
back that
it will be,
highlighted
yeah.
chunk?
Oh,
It would be really
yeah, we
nice.
need that back.
It would be really nice to have an example of one of these systems so that we could see and explain to anybody that has questions about it exactly what it looks like, what it sounds like, where it is, how it works.
Sweet
all
slides
of-
with the
all those
redhead
things.
guy staring at
What?
over the
We,
pen.
What?
can we do that?
Wait, what?
What'd you say?
We've got our slides on
Well, the
this thing with the
slides. Slides.
perfect, it's even got a human there.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
human
showing
for
the
scale.
size.
Right,
We
right.
need these printed out.
A
for
presentation
marketing
such as that.
People in this
demonstrate-
town
Yeah.
are not going to look at slides. They're going to want to know how it affects
How's the
them
old trip?
directly or indirectly. And so we need to be prepared to
Yeah.
have an explanation and even an example of why it's okay or why it's not okay.
Maybe that slideshow, but I think pictures.
I
What
can't
else?
remember the name of the shop, but they used to sell small tractors up here on River Road in Whately.
Yeah.
CNA,
Oh, yeah.
CNA
CNA.
repair.
I believe they just put in a battery energy storage system. It's a tan beige container
Oh.
parked just south of the old shop.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Haven't seen it, haven't been there.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's
It's on a
built.
pad. It's not.
It's on a
tools
pad.
for
It's
the
on its
build-out?
own.
Okay.
It's not, and it's not a container like a standard Sealand type container. It's there.
I'll
It's
slow
got all
down,
kinds of
check it out.
gear attached to it, like ventilation and stuff. And I'm pretty sure that's a battery storage. That's an example of one that's about 500 kilowatt hour. So we can point to that. We can take a road
point.
tour of that.
Mm.
Right.
We could maybe talk to some energy folks and say, hey, we want to do a show and tell in the parking lot.
Hmm.
Show us what some common battery energy systems are like, residential size,
Like a public.
like an energy
Field
fair
trip?
kind of thing.
Public
Public
field
walkthrough.
Or they have to bring these big giant truck-shaped objects to the town meeting. and then
Bring your
look
18-wheeler.
outside. You walked past.
How
these
many
big
kilowatts
things.
could
This
this
is
be
what
in my backyard?
This is
Right.
what we're talking about.
Right.
these things.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be one of the biggest questions that general population want to know. Where the hell are you putting this thing?
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it going to be in my backyard? How big is it going to, what is it going to sound like? How is it going to affect my way of life? How does this affect the reason I moved to this town for whatever this town presents?
Well,
How is this going to change
Well,
that?
then you're going to
You're
also
right.
hear, but the land I'm going to leave my kids, I want them to be able to make money, and that might be putting in one of these systems.
Right.
So don't
Actually, it's a
restrict
really
my ability to
important
do that
framing
either.
Right.
Because the big ones are going to terrify everyone.
Yep.
They look awful and they're huge and so scary. So I think we should talk to legal about the warrant article framing itself, which is something PVPC mentioned to us, because it's like, if somebody doesn't like
one piece of it.
one piece of it that like tier 3 is allowed by site plan review in their backyard or whatever, are they also going to strike down our ability to regulate any of it, like the floodplain and the water supply? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we structure it so that we can at least protect something without like permitting something else that someone's upset about?
All or nothing. Well, that's when you withdraw it.
Nobody's building any one of these anytime soon because the grid doesn't have the capacity to cover. Now, they might be doing a small to medium-sized one, but nobody's building a field of batteries because there isn't the grid capacity to connect to it.
When you say field of, makes me think.
Field of dreams.
20 acres of batteries.
Yeah.
They're the size that there was proposed in Westfield that got turned down. They withdrew it.
Well, that's something we could say in the hearing is like, here's what we actually even have capacity for in town, just so you know.
And-
But then, so if we do that, you then need to explain to people my age what that means.
Yeah, I don't know either
Yeah.
what it means.
So,
we're all learning
we have
together.
a lot of people in this town my age that are skeptical of all this stuff. So we would need to be able to explain at a town meeting if that's what. Going to be the first question. How's this going to affect me? It's going to be in my backyard. It's going to do this. Going to do this. Going to do that. I'll hear it all. I can hear the protests now that we would need to be prepared to answer
Exactly.
at town meeting of why it's not going to do all the things that people are afraid of.
Yep, so, I don't know.
We got our work cut out. Definitely. We got our work cut out. But yeah.
Oh, battery down. He'll give it to me.
Okay, I gotta go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make one comment before we like move
Yeah,
and close. Is
yes.
like I would just like to note that we had these two what seemingly little things on our agenda, but they're taking up a lot of our time and energy. And I would like to note that they are basically mandates from the EPA and the state, so that we like this time and energy that we could be using to being more proactive, working on passing things with our comprehensive plan, pushing things forward. Like we're kind of stuck working on these things, which are, I'm not saying they're not important. I think it's good that we're putting time and
reactive.
energy on them. Otherwise, we don't want to be
We don't have a
caught with our
choice. We
pants
have to work
down.
on those. Yeah,
But I just
understood.
want to name that it's a
Totally.
little frustrating that we can't do the things that could be, you know,
Yeah.
More
pushing
beneficial,
more
right?
beneficial to the
Right, right.
town.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
It's been a pleasure. I'm sorry. I believe I.
We
No,
could-
you're good. Thank you
We
so
could
much.
if we just could pay Bella for 80 hours a week.
I'm happy to start bouncing
We could get
ideas,
so much
Great.
more done.
especially for the conditions
Triple
for
that.
site plan
That would be
review.
fantastic. Yeah,
I can
let's
look
do it.
out and see what other people are doing, and I can bounce
Yeah.
some ideas off you.
So
I
the
mean,
i-
and,
yeah.
and to the note of tripling Bella's hours, I did put in a budget request to increase him by 3 more hours a year for next
Isn't
year.
that tripling? 3 isn't.
Uh-huh.
I know. It's slow. It's
Yeah.
slow.
In
So are
triplicate.
we having another meeting before the next meeting?
No, we're looking
I
at
will
February.
not be there in February, so you
Okay.
have to
I
chair
will be
there,
there,
Mr.
yeah.
Chair.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like it, but we will be doing a lot of talking.
Yeah, there will be a lot of work then
Yeah.
like between for the people.
If we
Yep.
could set up just a working group
Yeah.
in January
We
in
got
person.
We've got to nail down a time, so I'll take a day off. I'll come here and we can
Okay,
nail some of the stuff down.
that'd be great.
Yeah,
Um,
okay.
and
Sounds
then-
great.
See you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Jimmy.
It'll need to be early enough or soon enough that we have time to run it by legal after.
Before and after.
Exactly. So maybe, what day is it? The 7th. Hi, Jimmy.
Bye, Jimmy.
I'm retired. I got lots of time.
There you go.
Let me know when
Come
you're
on
doing it.
by.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good night.
Jimmy.
And having his input
Mhm.
as being
Yes,
of,
indeed.
It's
of a
something
certain
that we could
generation
always-
and
Contingent of-
representing a certain contingent. That's valuable.
The other thing too is when you do align on a time like that, we can always post it as a public hearing, just in case most of us or public meeting.
Yeah.
Sorry, that if we need to post it, just
Totally.
we could do that.
And it can be, yeah, it can be during the day, whatever is, good for people. Lunch, I don't know.
I know, John, probably not you. I could come during the day if I needed to.
We know
I
what day.
can get here
Also, you
most
can.
of the time.
Yeah, sounds great.
All right.
Okay, perfect. That's it. As you said, Stephanie, it's like kind of, we haven't really had time to dig into anything else from what we talked about last time that we were talking about bringing to town meeting, because this is a big hole.
But is there anything else that we wanted to bring to town meeting this year?
That's
we
what I was just
discussed
saying.
at the
I mean, we
last
talked
hearing?
about the home-based business bylaw, which is also a model bylaw that I didn't have time to look into what it would entail to adopt that, like
Mhm.
whether that really, I mean, this is so technical and intense the home-based business bylaw might not be as intense as that.
Right.
Can you
Could
forward
just be
that model
adopted,
bylaw?
Just
Or
adopt.
have
it.
you
We
already
like
done
this
that?
adopt.
What?
Have you already forwarded that model bylaw?
It's an appendix of the
Of the PVPC thing.
PVPC thing.
I'll take a look at it.
I would love it if we can move, if
Yeah.
we could do,
It's
I know that sounds like
actually-
a lot, but
I think one thing to be clear about that is it is not like more restrictive than what we have now. It's actually
Well, it's actually
less
expanding
restrictive.
and being
It
more
ex-
inclusive.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
because ours is just defined in like a one-liner. So it.
Yeah.
That might be an easy thing to bring through town meeting.
Yep.
Um,
I'm
But
sure
maybe
that
we
might
can-
garner a lot of hot takes though at
sure
the
it
public
will.
hearing and stuff, like aligning on the specifics around certain
Totally.
things, but I think it's all for the better.
but if we're doing a working group, which would be really, really great this month, I will look into what that looks like. We should all look at it, and then we can talk about it at that meeting.
Even if you just pull together the model, pull it out and just have us mark it up ahead of that meeting, I'm happy to.
Yeah. Well, you have it, right?
You know,
Yeah.
thinking
so.
about it, and I don't mean to prolong the meeting too much
You're good.
longer, but the argument or the concern that Jimmy raised a few minutes ago about, well, this kind of energy system could go into my backyard.
Mhm.
And the answer is yes, it could. And the same thing is true of any zone where it's zoned heavy industrial, it's plopped in the middle of a residential zone.
That's the thing about our.
Guess what?
No.
These kinds of uses we're talking about being allowed more permissively in those zones, which is why we want to remove those zones
And we're trying,
from neighborhoods.
we're trying to
From
put up guards.
we
Yeah.
want to
against
put up
this.
guards. We
right
want to
now,
protect your way
don't
of
have
life.
it.
We don't
the
have it.
ability to help you.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
don't want to change your map, then we got to do this. We got to
Yeah. But we'd actually rather change the map
change the map. Yeah.
to protect your neighborhoods, to protect your way of life, to protect the quiet enjoyment of your
Yeah.
property. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's actually an argument in favor of the rezoning.
Exactly.
Which is happening just in a bigger picture thing in the next couple of years.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I got one thing on this doc with you're working on with Andrew is somewhere
Stormwater?
you got a note. Let's get a definition of hazardous chemicals.
Oh, it's because there's a lot of different definitions of hazardous chemicals.
We probably want the D
in-
definition on that.
Yeah, just the
Okay.
standard. Yeah. 'Cause it's
Is there a
defined
standard definition?
of hazardous?
Yeah.
Yeah,
think
it
so,
has
yeah.
chem, has material, and all that stuff later.
There's just a handful. That comment of mine was just because it's in our
Okay, I didn't know if
zoning.
it
We
was- I thought it was
all the red ones are
Do you
done.
think it
me.
was Andrews or yours?
all the red ones are me, and the
Yeah,
blue is
okay,
you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just because our bylaw has a lot of different places that they talk about hazardous chemicals and define them against different standards of like Board of Health, DEP, blah blah blah. And I just
If
wanted
we
to make
can-
sure this.
If we can point to an industrial standard industry source
Yeah.
for the definition, I'd rather do that.
Yeah, perfect.
Because then it'll be consistently reviewed and updated as new fun chemicals are introduced to the world.
Exactly.
They're working on
Somebody's got to keep the list.
Yep.
It's not going to be us.
Yeah, well,
New
we're not
fun
qualified. so,
chemicals.
yeah.
As delineated by these authorities.
All right.
All right.
Is that enough tonight?
Oh, God, yes.
Ah, Susie.
Move
Thank
to
you for sitting
adjourn.
through all of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
no,
Yeah.
no, thank you. I'm just saying. For your time.
And
Um,
thank you I'm glad we have someone to do this because otherwise this would be on us, John.
Man, they would get
Doug.
this done
Yep.
2028 or something.
When is my term up? Speaking of which,
Speaking of which, my term is up this year.
yeah, you have to pull your papers.
I have to fill
Hopefully,
my papers.
hopefully you'll stay
Oh,
on.
everyone's supposed
If
to
you
do-
guys want me there, I'm happy to do it.
Please.
I'll be
We
coming to you
gotta
for
do that.
signatures.
we got to do that darn. I don't have a pack paperwork by the 20th. Have you seen
I've already
that?
done mine.
Okay, I got to do.
Yeah,
mine.
I already did mine.
Made a note to print it out and do it this meeting.
Yep.
I did not.
All right. With that,
Move to adjourn.
Seconded.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:57.
Thank you.
After I told my family, I'll be home by